I think we're gonna check the things over this way. I think it'll be nice because you can see what the answers are and we can actually kind of go through them too, just so you can kind of work at your own pace. I'm gonna try to stay out of the shot as much as possible, and hopefully you don't get seasick looking at this board because um, I've been practicing this for about the last 45 minutes now, and I'm not very good at it, so we'll just have to see how this goes. On the sheet that you had yesterday, we did 1, 2, and 3 yesterday, so I figured we'll just pick up and do 4 through 10 on here, and you can kind of check and see how you did on your own here. Um, for this, we've got two distributive property parts. The first part is just going to be this times this and this times this, so all together we would have 18x, and that would be positive 48. Over here on this side, we've got the 8 times 1, which would just be positive 8, and then we have 8 times negative 3x would be negative 28x. Now if we look at what we have here, we've got regular numbers here, and then we've got the x's here. So if I put things together, I can do 48 and 8, which is going to be just regular 56, and then I've got 18x minus 28x, which is going to be negative 10x, so I can just put minus 10x. And this is going to be your answer for number 4. Number 5 I thought might be a little bit confusing anyway because we've got this negative 6xy, so it looks a little bit different than some of the others, but it doesn't really work any different. If we do the distributive property here, this is what we're looking at for the first part. If we do negative 6xy times x, and if you want to put that 1 in there, that's fine. Of course, it's going to be negative 6 to start with, and then we have an x times an x, which is going to be x to the second power, and we still have that y, so we put that on at the end. Now, if we have negative 6xy times negative 6, that's going to be a positive, so I'll put plus 36, and then I have just the x and the y to put at the end of it. On the other end, more distributive property, we've just got 7x times x, which is going to be a positive 7x. We got two x's, so it's x to the second power. And then we've got 7x times 5, which is going to be positive 35x. Now we just need to look and see if we can put anything together here. I've got x to the second y, which is not the same as this. This would be x to the first, y to the first. This is x to the second, y to the first. Those two things can't go together. When I look at the end here, 7x to the second power, and then I've got 35x. None of those things have the same common label at the end of them. So this would be our final answer for this problem. Number 6, we've got negative 3n, and we've got a distributive property part over here. Negative 3n times positive n, if you want to put that 1 in front of there, that's fine. That's just going to be negative 3n to the second power. Negative 3n times negative 3 is going to be a positive 9n. For the other part, we've got 3n to the third power already, times it by another n, or 1n, and then I can add on, it's going to be 3, and then n to the third times n is going to be n to the fourth. Then if I finish it off with my negative 5 here, 3n to the third times negative 5, so that's going to be minus 15 or negative 15, and then I just have this 3n, or n to the third power, to put on the end of it. I just need to look it over to see if there's anything on here I can put together. I got to the first power, to the second power, to the third power, to the fourth power, so there's nothing on there that can be combined together, so this would be your final answer. For number 7, we've got 3x times negative 2x, which is going to be negative 6x to the second. Then we've got 3x times 3, which is going to be a positive 9x. And if we take this part over here, negative 4 times just negative 1, is going to be a positive 4. And then the very last part, we've got negative 4 times negative 4x, which is going to be a positive 16x. Now I just have to locate things I can put together, and I just have a few here. I've got this one right here, and I've got this one right here. So if I do 9x plus 16x, let's see, 26, one less, so it'll be 25x. And then x to the second, nothing after it, so I can just put minus 6x to the second. I can also put the plus 4 at the end. It really doesn't matter what order you put this in, as long as you have somewhere in your problem a positive 25x, a negative 6x to the second power, and a positive 4. Number 8. Negative 4, positive 5, negative 20, negative 4, negative 2x would be positive 8x. We've got more distributive property. This itself is a negative 7. We've got a negative 6 here, so if we start with the first part right here, negative 7x to the second times 8 is just going to be negative 56x to the second. And then if we have negative 7 times negative 6 is going to be a positive 42. Then we look at the x's. X to the second and x would be x to the third power. Looking for things to put together on here, we've got just a regular old number. We've got x to the second, we've got x to the third. Nothing on here can go together, nothing has the same label at the end of it, so we would just keep it as is. For number 9, we can put the 1 in front of the n if you like to do it that way, and then we just have to do 1n times negative 8n, which is going to be negative 8n to the second power. Just 1n times 8 is going to be positive 8n. And then if we look at the other side here, we've got a negative 8. So I'm going to do negative 8 times n to the third, which is just going to be negative 8 n to the third. And then the very last part, negative 8 times 1, is just going to be a negative 8. Look it through, x to the second, or n to the second, n to the third, nothing. We would just keep that exactly as it is. Last one, number 10. 6 times 5 would just be 30. 6 times negative 1 would be negative 6, and then we'd have our n to the second power. Our 1 there. 8 times negative 1 is going to be negative 8, and then it's going to be n. And then it's just 8 times 1, and it's going to be 8, so it'll be plus 8. Looking to put things together, different, positive 30, positive 8, so we should have 38 in there somewhere, negative 6n to the second minus 8n. And again, you can have this in any order as long as you've got positive 38, negative 6n to the second, and negative 8n.